Thank you so much for joining me today on Coffee With. My guest today is Wayne Mansfield. Wayne, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I know you've got a lot going on, and you've squeezed some time out of that busy schedule to come down here. Now, you're the executive director of the Port Commission and the Economic Development Foundation.
That is correct.
I don't really know what that means, and my guess is a lot of people don't. So, tell me the whole story on both of those organizations.
Try to give you the quick tour, and part of my job is has an educational component, so it's not unusual. But the Port Commission is a governmental entity created by state statute. There are 16 ports in Mississippi, and all of them operate under that statute. But we're governed by 5 commissioners, 2 of which are appointed by the Board of Supervisors, 2 by the Mayor and Alderman, and 1 by the Governor. And the primary mission of the Port Commission is operation of our port facility, recruitment of new industry, and operation of our industrial park at Ceres. Now, the Economic Development Foundation is a 501c6, and its primary mission is support our existing industry and also to provide support for recruitment of new industry here too.
So when you talk about recruiting new industry, you're not talking about just at the port, but
Correct.
In
countywide.
The whole area.
That's correct.
And how do y'all go about recruiting new industry?
Well, it's absolutely a partnership effort. We have 3 employees with the Port Commission, so it's obvious we can't do everything at one time. So we form partnerships with Entergy, Mississippi. We're part of a regional economic development group called the Greater Jackson Alliance that tries to recruit industry to the central Mississippi region. It's 6 or 7 counties. And then we also partner with the Mississippi Development Authority and other entities to try to help us focus on our target industries and bring them to this region. Mm-hmm. We all share a lot of the same workforce within here, and I tell prospects that come here all the time, this is a little bit different from what you're probably accustomed to, because it's a 60-minute drive time here gets you about 80 miles, whereas in an Atlanta or a Dallas it gets you about 5 miles.
On a good day.
Exactly.
On a Sunday afternoon.
So that's the purpose for the regional effort, because we do share a lot of the same workforce and same workforce skills.
Now, how did you end up in this position?
Kind of a long roundabout way, and it's funny because I remember many years ago when Jimmy Heidel was in this position, I had an opportunity to work with him on a number of occasions, and this has been 20 plus years ago, and I decided that's what my career goal was going to be. But I started out, when I finished from Ole Miss, I started out working in the city planning department here, and worked for a few years, and then had an opportunity to go to Tupelo and work for the city of Tupelo for a year. And then I moved on up and became the director of development for the city of South Haven, and worked there for about 6 years. And then had an opportunity to come back home when Lawrence Lyons and that administration was in office, and ran the planning department here, and worked there for about 5 years. And then when Jimmy left and Jim Pilgrim was an interim director, and then he retired, and the Port Commission hired me through an interview process.
So are you originally from Vicksburg?
I am. My family goes back to the 1830s.
Well, that's pretty far. I would say you can claim native status.
Exactly.
Well, I'm sorry you had to go to LSU. I mean, Ole Miss, because, you know, I'm from LSU, and I always feel really bad for all those folks from Ole Miss, and, you know, just have to bring it up just a little bit. Now tell me about your wife, and do you have children?
Yes, my wife is not from here. We met when I lived in DeSoto County, and but actually it's strange because she was working for a Vicksburg company at the time. She was working for Fieldman, and we met and moved down here, and she actually moved to Nashville and worked, and we continued the relationship. And then when we got married, or right before we got married, she moved to Vicksburg, and we have 1 son, 4.5 years old.
And what do y'all do in your spare time?
A little bit of everything. I play a lot of golf. I hunt quite a bit. My wife probably says, well, in fact, she tells me you have the two most expensive hobbies anybody can have, hunting and golf. But she runs, she's a big runner. She runs marathons and half marathons. She did her first triathlon this year, and I was real proud of her. She did very, very good.
Where did she do that?
Over at Reunion in Madison.
And
finished 5th in her age group.
My
so I was really, really proud.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, she's an impressive person.
Well, I would look forward to meeting her. I don't think I know your wife.
She is a marketing director for Hometown Medical.
What's her name?
Kimberly.
Oh, no, I have not met her, but I'm surprised I haven't.
She stays busy.
I bet she does. I bet she does. Does she work out of the office here or
yes,
in Flowood?
But she works both, actually. She works in Flowood a couple of days a week, and then the majority of her time here in this area.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to meet her. That sounds great. Okay, what else do you want to tell me about the Port Commission and the Economic Development Foundation?
You know, a lot of times what a lot of people don't really understand is the difficult nature of trying to recruit industry here. You're trying to make a lot of round pegs fit in square holes sometimes. But, you know, recently Natchez had an announcement, and they're taking an old refinery down there and expanding it and creating a new business. And why didn't we get them here? Well, we didn't have any type of facility like that. So it's not as easy as you think. You go out, say, hey, you know, Vicksburg, and Vicksburg sells itself, and it's not that simple, because there are a whole laundry list of elements that have to match. In fact, I read a stat that stated of all the economic development projects in any given year, a community has less than a 0.05% chance of landing.
Of recruiting that business? Oh my goodness.
Is that difficult and that competitive?
Wow.
And what a lot of people don't understand too is that by state law, since we're an entity of the county, we're essentially a business entity of the county, we're limited as to what we can provide in terms of incentives. We can only provide what state law allows, which in essence is a 10-year ad valorem exemption. 98% of the incentives come from the state level. And that's why it's important to have that partnership with the Mississippi Development Authority and other entities. But incentives are usually the icing on the cake. It's been my experience that a project driven by incentives alone is usually not a very solid project. Usually the strong projects are ones that are concentrating on workforce and logistics. And that does give us an advantage here in Warren County because we do have the rail access, we do have interstate access, and we have port access. The port is part of the foreign trade zone, it's a port of entry, and we have an outstanding workforce here.
Right.
We have an opportunity to work with all of our industries and interview them periodically to make sure they're staying solid and strong, and work with them, and to a person, they all are very pleased with their workforce.
Now, were you part of a delegation that went to Washington, D.C. a few months ago? Were you part of that group that went with Buddy D's? And
yeah, actually, I put the package of program together through our office, and it's something that I've been involved with for probably almost 10 years now. Jimmy Heidel used to put it together, and then when he left and went to Jackson, it fell on me when I was with the city and just put the project list together, and then through partnering with the Chamber and Christy, she helps a lot with the logistics and helping setting up meetings, and it's a good partnership there because it's a huge task.
Yes.
But I can tell you, every time we meet with our delegation up there, they're always impressed with the unity that we show, how informed we are of the project requests that we have, and we're always asking for projects that make sense, that can show a return on that investment. And we also we fulfill those projects if they're funded. And the senators and congressmen are always saying that we're one of the more successful communities in that regard.
Well, you know, Vicksburg is such a great place to live. I've been here 4 or 5 years now, and even though percentage-wise we may have a low chance of recruiting new industry, it's a great place to be. And I think we do have a lot to offer. Maybe, you know, we're controlled by the incentives that can be offered to them, but just as a community, I think we have so much to offer a company or industry that wants to come here.
Without a doubt. In fact, the past few days I've been with a prospect looking at Warren County, and they were very impressed. And they came from a large metro area, and they were very impressed with what we have to offer here. They love the small town feel, but yet they also love the fact that we have the amenities, the healthcare services, the retail services, food services, and different recreational components. So that was a big selling point. Like I said earlier, Warren County, Vicksburg sells itself if you just kind of put all the pieces together and let them see it. So I think we hopefully we'll be successful with that prospect and hopefully have some jobs coming here soon.
I hope so. It's a great place to do business. It's a great place to raise your family, or even if you don't have a family, it's still a great place to live.
It is, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for all your efforts and, gosh, for all the things you do to make Vicksburg a better place to live. And thanks for coming and having coffee with me
Thank
today.
you. I appreciate it.
Promotional consideration provided by
Amber Sanders from Happy Hair. Get your hair happy at 3402 Wisconsin Avenue.